Welcome back to the Money Show with Miss Chloe, your go-to podcast for money, credit, business growth, and financial success. I'm your host, Miss Chloe, founder and CEO of Orchard Business Funding and Advisors. Today's topic is going to be all about multiple streams of income, what it really means, where do you start, how do you build them. I know that you've heard this before. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income, so you should at least have 2. And I know we can all agree that right now, especially an extra stream of income would come in handy. So I'm gonna ask you a question, be honest. If someone said to you, millionaires have several different streams of income, your first thought might be 7. I'm struggling just to keep up with one paycheck. And these people out here are collecting 7 like baseball cards. Now, this is according to the IRS. So that's where they identify what the 7 were. But that's exactly what the average millionaire is doing. But if you think about it, the logic really is straightforward. Relying on one income stream is like balancing on a tightrope with no safety net underneath. So just one wobble or one layoff and you're in trouble. But with multiple streams of income, you've got a financial safety net that turns money making into a game of the more, the merrier. So what all these magical income streams and how the millionaires make this work, spoiler alert, they're not as unattainable as you might think. So, okay, here's another quote that is attributed to Warren Buffett. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work till you die. So, again, there is hope out there for the rest of us. So, to help us break this all down, I have a very special guest with us today. I have Star Chef Maye, and Star Maye is not only a chef, but she has a unique storytelling ability. So she tells a lot of stories about how she got started doing what she does. And this is exactly, the kind of thing that, we want to know because she has multiple streams of income. She is a Navy veteran. She's an author, among other things. And I'm sure, if I started to try to tell her story, I would be leaving something out. But like I said, she's built multiple streams of income. And so she is joining us today to give us some insights as to how she was able to do that. And maybe we can find some takeaways. So Chef Star, I want to thank you for being with us today. And I'm going to ask you to just give us a brief introduction and give us a little bit about your background and the experience you've had with multiple streams of income.
All right. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm Chef Star Maye from Nashville, Tennessee. I have been cooking right around 24, 25 years. I know I look young, but I've been doing it for quite some time. And being able to have a successful life really does keep you in a place where you have to have multiple streams of income. I said, luckily for me, I'm living in my passion, so it doesn't ever really feel like work, but it does take a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, and sometimes a little bit of pivoting for to be able to recover, but it can happen.
Okay. So, Chef Maye, when people hear the phrase multiple streams of income, we hear that all the time. But what does it really mean in a practical sense?
In a practical sense, for me, I like for my income to be residual. So I like to be able to continuously get it, whether I have to participate in something to receive that or not. So to be able to have multiple streams, like I own a catering company. My catering company does well, but I can't put all my eggs in one basket. So it lets me diversify. I also own a restaurant. I own a couple of other businesses outside of that, a slingshot rental business, a t-shirt printing business. So it started out maybe as hobbies, but now years later, it's coming to be where those incomes really help. Because if some week my t-shirt business didn't do as well as it did last year this time, that's okay, because I have 3 other incomes coming from somewhere to be able to provide for me, keep my lifestyle, and keep me and my family in a comfortable place.
Okay. I heard you mention a lot of different things, that you got going on.
Yeah.
I heard you mention something that you got going on that is actively happening now. Uh, I've heard you mention something that generates passive income, like your
Mhm.
rental through your slingshot rental.
Yeah.
And I just want to, can you give us a chronological order of where you actually started with all of this?
Okay, so I've been cooking for 25 years. So restaurants have always been a thing. So my catering business started in 2015. I started that. Um, the t-shirt business, um, rest during the pandemic, the t-shirt business had really started to come in for the forefront with me, with all the different things people wanted. So I had time and energy, so I put time into creating, purchasing the things that I needed, and starting that business. So we got a business now since 2015. We started a new business in the end of 2019, 2020. Then also at that time, I owned a restaurant called Ansi Blue. So I had a full restaurant running, the catering company, the t-shirt business. So now in 2024, I opened another restaurant and bar. And then the Slingshots is my newest business. She's about 6 months old, but we're starting to head into our peak season, and I'm really starting to enjoy the thralls of that. I tell people with that type of business, I only get business 8 months out of the year, maybe 7 or 8 months. So that allows me time and space to be able to do something different. So that is a totally different kind of business. It's something new that I'm into. I'm really enjoying it right now. So I think it's going to be very lucrative, and I don't think people think about stuff like that. But people like leisure things, but they don't want to have the major purchase of purchasing a $30,000, what I'm saying, toy. They would rather just get it for the day or for a weekend, and that benefits me.
Okay. With all of that going on, there's only
Mhm.
24 hours. There are 24 hours in a day. We've all got the same amount of time.
Okay.
So how are you able to keep all these balls in the air?
I tell people it's really about a person is only as good as their tools. So if you're not putting the money in to invest in the tools and the things that you need, like social media is very big today. All of our business have to have posts, they have to make reels and stories and do all the things. But luckily for me to be able to do all the things, you can download apps, set everything on a timer. It kind of does all your work for you. You know, you could also hire AI to do it for you. So you have to be able to take the time to understand that for you to be able to make the ultimate amount of money that you can make, you have to really put forth the time to put in for the knowledge and the tools, because a person is only as good as their tool. So if I can't have a successful restaurant, there are 300 restaurants here, and is how are they going to know I'm different from anybody else? It takes advertisement, it takes marketing, it takes some social media management, it takes those things. So if you go ahead and invest in those things, that you will definitely see the difference. So for me, being able to run all those businesses and keep everything intact and moving along is really about making sure I hire the right people and have the right tools for us to all be successful.
Okay, then with that, share with us a quick tip then on why multiple streams matter. Why does this matter? What's important about it?
It multiple streams matter because, like I said, you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. What if the basket falls? What happens then when all the eggs are broken? So, even if my basket falls, the likelihood of me having 5 eggs left is going to be high, right? So instead of me losing everything, putting in 100% on one thing, I would rather 30% of 15 things and not have to worry about it.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
what you're saying then is it matters because you just have something to fall back on. If one of those eggs gets broken, you still have other sources that you can rely on.
Right. Your life is not devastated because you lost one stream of income. Yes, it may become an inconvenience, but it will not devastate because I do have other things to fall back on.
Okay. So if we're real about it, most people want multiple streams of income. So when you say that, everybody is nodding in agreement that yes, you want to have multiple streams of income, but they don't know where to start. So what advice would you give someone as to where to start looking to begin with?
I say within yourself, if you do not understand how to be able to monetize yourself, then it kind of leads away. Like me, I'm Chef Star Maye, yeah, but I monetize myself. Like it's taken me 25 years to get the knowledge that I know. It might only take me 5 minutes to do what you asking me to do, but it took me 25 years to gain that knowledge. Right. So any person, if you've been working at your job, if you've been working for the state for 5 years, I'm sure your data entry is amazing. Focus on that. Start there. Start at what you're good at. Because when you're good at it, when you start to do it, it doesn't really feel like work. So I always tell people, look within yourself, find something that you're really good at. It doesn't matter if you do it at work every day. If you're good at it and you can input those numbers, 80 words a minute, 100 words a minute, there are opportunities out there for you to be able to do that a couple of hours a day outside of your work. So you can start small.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, assessing the skills that you already have is where you're saying people need to look to start out.
Yes.
Okay. And then once you assess those skills and you figure out, what it is that you are good at, then I heard you say something about like leveraging existing resources that are out there to help you to be able to perfect that a little bit better.
Correct.
Okay. And then you gotta, picking that first income stream
Yes.
is where it comes from. That's your first income stream.
Very
It's
first.
something that you were already doing, something that you knew how to do, and you decided to, like you said, I wrote that down, to monetize yourself.
Mhm.
And then you figured out how you could leverage those skills. And
Yes.
now you've got that income stream.
Yes. And now, I don't know people, but I have friends who work from home, but they probably doing 2 or 3 different work from home things at the same time. That
Oh,
job doesn't
wow.
require me to work. It's an 8-hour schedule, but I might only be working 2 or 3 hours a day for real.
Okay.
To squeeze something else in. If you
Okay.
like, when I cook, sometimes I'm doing catering and working at the restaurant at the same time. So now
Okay.
I'm making 2 separate streams of income at the exact same time.
Huh. Okay.
I can have
So,
2 slingshots rented. I can have 2 slingshots rented. I can have a t-shirt order. I can have a catering, and my restaurant is really busy tonight. I'm having a wonderful day.
hey, that sounds good. That sounds good. And
And everybody can do it.
when I listen to you, you sound passionate about the ability that everybody can do all these different things. But what I find interesting is how you have been able to utilize one thing that you do, then you took that a step further to turn that into something else. And then with your passive streams of income, then those are working for you. So it seems like you have something working for you in your sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Warren Buffett.
Okay, okay, okay. So we've kind of, said, okay, this is where we're going to start. You got to assess what you know. What do you know how
Yeah.
to do? And that's what
Mhm.
you grew up, your grandmother, you cooking with her, so you had
Yeah.
a skill.
I grew
And
up on
then
a farm.
on a farm. You
Yeah.
grew up on a farm. Okay. So with all of the skills, you learned how to leverage what you learned to make a living doing that. Now, did you ever have a job other than being a chef?
Oh yeah, I've had many, many jobs, all different kinds. I've worked construction. I done laid tile, put up sheetrock, put roofs on. I have done a plethora. I have cleaned hotels. I was in the military. I worked 2 or 3 jobs when I was in the military. Like it's just always been a thing for me to be an entrepreneur. So I've kind of always been setting my life up for that.
So being an entrepreneur is something that was sort of in your spirit, even though you had all of these other things that you had done. Did you
Mhm.
learn anything from all of the jobs that you had that you were able to carry forward with you?
Yes. I tell people once you have obtained the ability to learn how to manage people and things, you can take that to any career, any job, any place. So it doesn't matter exactly where I go. I could probably fit in anywhere because my management style is my management style. So it doesn't matter what I'm offering, I'm still going to get the same, you know, reaction from people because that's kind of just how it's going to go, you know.
Okay. When did you get that first opportunity to cook? Okay, so you started out like everybody else, had a job, okay,
Yes,
and you were
it's
doing
a
a
job.
lot of different other things, but somewhere you had an opportunity to take that one skill and actually cook.
Mm.
So when did you do that? When did that take off?
I probably not till my 30s. I was probably about 34 or 35. And I've heard so many times, your food is so good. But I'm like, I'm cooking the same things that these people next to me are cooking. So why is mine so much better? So when I turned maybe 33, 34, in that age range, I was like, I'm just going to try to do this full time and see what happens. And then here we go, 10 years later.
Okay.
10 years later, it's a totally different story.
What would you say some common mistakes are that people make, and how could they avoid them? I'm sure you've had some trial and error, and some things worked, some things didn't. But what
Mhm.
are some common mistakes that people make when they, get start trying to have that additional, that extra stream of income?
Thinking that that income is going to be immediate. I feel like
Okay.
that is probably the biggest thing that I see other people do and myself. You know, getting into business, I'm like, okay, cool. In a month, we'll be making this. And sometimes it's not exactly how that's going to rest. I tell people I'm in the worst business in the world. I'm in the restaurant business. We rarely see profits before 3 to 5 years. So that
Okay.
is definitely a labor of love. So you have to put a lot of time and effort, a lot of on the front end, but you will residually see on the back end. You know what I'm saying? But it's that front end that people don't really think about when they're starting different types of businesses. I think that that is a major letdown, and that's why a lot of time people give up. Is because they was like, I've been doing this for 6 months. I'm like, 6 months? I've been doing this for 25 years.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, so it does take time and energy to be able to create those things, and I think that
Okay.
people don't give themselves enough grace to be able to do it.
So it's important to have realistic expectations about what it is you're doing.
Definitely.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you come up, let's say, what is one simple way to start making extra income today?
um I would say something. You can Uber Eats, you can DoorDash, you can Instacart, you can
Okay.
these days you can it's so many ways to be able to make extra money in the world that we live in today. It is crazy. I tell people if I could do all the things, I would do all the things. But it's only 24 hours in a day and I only can do so much.
Okay. So some of the things that you just mentioned, those are things that we're all going to be familiar with as far as extra income. Now, when those things with extra income, for those particulars right there, that is about your time is
Yeah,
being
it's about
involved.
your time. It's about making sure you monetize your time. I tell people in anything, you know what I'm saying? Back again, we back to that knowledge that you took the time to get to know. If you're at your 9 to 5 job and they pay you $25 an hour for your knowledge, okay, great. So that's your base pay because they pay you $25. And then for the knowledge that I've accrued, I like to throw in another 30%. So if I'm not making that $25 plus 30% an hour, I'm not going to do it because that's what my time is worth because I'm sacrificing time with my family. I'm sacrificing doing things that I would like to do in that time frame. So if I'm not making that particular dollar amount or really close to it, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
You have to make sure that you maximize the time. that you have. You just have to maximize that time in whatever way you deem to be able to do that. You know, if you type really well and you go to the college, I'm almost certain it's some kid there that doesn't type really well. It's going to take him a week to type it, and he would rather pay you to do it in 2 days.
Okay. So far we've been talking about, trading your time for money with
Yep.
the types of opportunities that are out there. So when we say a second stream of income, that is definitely, attainable.
Yeah, definitely.
To start doing something in addition to the job that you have, because we all have that one stream of income and we want to have a second stream of income.
Yeah.
So you just identify some things that we're all familiar with, and we probably utilize some of those services. We've seen them, come to our homes, and they picked us up, dropped us off. So there is another opportunity to have an additional stream of income.
Correct.
Okay, let's talk about some of the strategies then beyond swapping out your time for money. You've only got so much time.
Exactly.
And of course, you got to have time to rest. You got to have time to spend time with family and do all these other things.
Mhm.
But what about when we start talking about passive income?
Yeah.
And
Kind of
being
like
able to automate something. What
Yes.
can you share about passive income? Because I heard you say that you got a t-shirt business.
Yes, it's like a little printing company. We don't do much. We do signs on doors, t-shirts, cups, just little things that people want for their family reunions, their class reunions, birthdays. They just want a little something to have, a t-shirt and matching cup for their birthday. We're gonna make it for you, but that is passive. Like, it's not something that happens every day, even though this is like our busier time of year, so we do have quite a few things going on, but that's passive. The slingshot business, that's passive. I'm telling people my next thing I want to get into is laundromats or maybe car washes. So that's another passive income. You're just waiting on people to pass by and use what you have, but they can't use what you have if you don't offer it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that income for me, that's slow and steady wins the race. And I'm okay with that too. Because at the end of the year, when it's time to do my taxes, that slow and steady money counts too.
Something that I heard a theme going through what you were just talking about, and that's automation.
Mhm.
So with that passive income, you had to automate something.
Yeah. That is the most efficient way these days to be able to make money while you sleep.
Okay.
Utilizing the tools.
Then, okay, so what can you say about then investing your profits? Because somewhere along the line to start that next business venture, you may need to reinvest profits that you have made from one of your others, unless you're going to go out and obtain, funding or so on and so forth. But what about reinvesting profits?
I am definitely a believer in that. I think that for my businesses to continue to move forward and stay competitive with all of the other businesses like mine, because I'm not the only one. So for us to stay competitive, I feel like it's important to take a percentage of what is made to go back into the business so that the business can continue to flourish. Yeah, so that's definitely something. And then it's okay to diversify. It doesn't have to particularly go back into a business. You could get an IRA, you could get some CDs or some stocks. Just start diversifying those funds, to be able to create other income along with that. See that I have a broker, so I give him money and then he was like, "Okay, we made this." I was like, "Yes."
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so
Pretty
that's
solid.
that's not even money I count on or really think about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's somebody else is helping me work it. So
Okay. So, I keep listening, and we're talking about multiple streams of income. And the
Mhm.
more we talk, the more streams you pull out of your hat.
Ooh.
So, yeah, the more streams that you kind of pull out of your hat. So,
Mhm.
let me ask you this. How do you keep from burning out, balancing all these different streams of income?
Well, like I said earlier, it's about making sure you have a great team. My team is amazing. Like my restaurant, it runs without me. My catering business, I like for people. I like to do it. I like cooking in large quantities. I love seeing the families and all that. So I do help a little more hands on with that. But that also can run without me. So it's really about I have built my team, my core team up to be a solid team, and they help me um, be able to alleviate all that space and time for me to be able to create. Because at the end of the day, I found that I'm really just a creative. I like to create different things and watch it grow. So because of that, it's imperative for me to create that awesome team. Like my business manager is amazing. The chef at the restaurant is amazing. So it's like making sure that the people also coincide and see the vision overall. Like at this age, I never would have thought I would be in this place. My life has been a lot of adversity after a lot of adversity. So I never thought I would be here. So having the opportunity to employ other people and make their lives stable as well. So I think that it benefits me, and trying to stay in a positive mindset also helps.
So when the going got tough, you didn't stop. You didn't give up.
Mm-mm. No, ma'am. We don't got time for that.
Okay.
I'm 6 feet up, not 6 feet down. So I'm
All
always
right.
going to push forward.
Okay. But something that I hear you say, about avoiding burnout, and you are one person, and we've talked about a lot of different kind of
Mhm.
businesses, but then I hear you talk about a team, your team.
Yes, my
So
team.
you are not trying to do everything yourself.
No, I learned many years ago to it's better to find amazing people to delegate work to. So that's what I do. They make sure I take lots of vacations. I take time for myself. I do things for myself, and they make sure I do. If they see that my forehead is a little more wrinkled today, they were like, "Chef, you need to go to dinner. Go have something great to eat."
Okay. So you're the creator.
hmm Exactly. Yeah.
And then one thing I also liked about what you said is about, using automation, using the tools, technology. I heard you mention AI one time, but
Yeah.
technology and automation helps to keep you from burning out because they are time savers
Yeah.
and they
Because if
allow
I had
you
to
to
do all
make
that
money while you're
posting,
sleeping. Yes.
yes. If I had to do all that posting, making the reels, doing all the things, if I had to do all of that without automation, I probably would be burnt out. But having the ability to have someone go in and we set it, like it's gonna pop up Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7, noon, and 5, it does it for me. All I have to do is set it. So
Okay.
now between those times every day, I'm free. It's already ready to go.
All right. All right. Now, you have not talked about being an author. I did
Mhm.
throw that in at the beginning.
I
I
yeah.
keep telling you every time we talk, with every sentence, there's something else we pull out of your hat. Okay. But tell us about the author. Where were you when you decided, I need to write a book? So that's another stream of income.
I was really going through a rough time. I just found out my mom was on life support. And the day I found out she was on life support, I also found out I had COVID. So now I am stuck in this house. I can't see my mother, and I'm by myself, me and my dog. So I was like, I've got to do something to get my mind off of this. It's nothing else. So I just sat down and started writing recipes. It made me feel better. I would write recipes for 10 and 12 hours a day. I'm just sitting there thinking of things I've made before and how did I make them and what was the process. So I just started creating recipes and telling little stories and doing little things. And before I knew it, I sent it to my friend and she was like, "This is a book." I was like, "Man,
Okay.
I was just trying to get some recipes down because I was going
Okay.
through a tough time and that was helping me to cope."
Okay.
And she looked at it and she said, "No, this is a book." She said, "We're going to make it." So me and a few of my friends got together and we made this amazing cookbook with loving antidotes, conversations about my grandmother and my mom, because for me that year was very tough. I lost my mom's sister in April. My grandmother died in November, and I lost my mom in January. So it was just like a very tough time, and it gave me the opportunity to speak on these beautiful Black women that I loved oh so much. So
Okay.
it was definitely a labor of love for me. But it's called A Star Among Us, a chef story, and you can get it on Amazon.
Okay. Okay. Now, let me ask you about this. See, like I said to the audience out there, every time that she talks about something, there's always something else. But were you not on Chopped on TV?
Yes, I won. I am a chop champion.
Okay. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've been on Beat Bobby Flay, Best Bites in Town, Deliciously Twisted Classics. I've also been in Ebony, Essence, Forbes, Washington Post, Cuisine
Okay.
War. I've been able to do a lot of things with this. One thing that I learned how to do as a kid. As a
Okay.
child, I watched my grandmother cook, probably like most people. I just took that one skill that she taught me, and I have been able to create this awesome life with it. So, yeah.
So, what we are basically saying is that you've done a lot, but you didn't start out doing all of these things. It
Mhm.
just sort of evolved from that one solid income stream when you were, started cooking.
Yeah,
That one income stream has led organically to all of these other opportunities that it appears that you have been able to turn into another stream of income.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So, absolutely, you can't do everything. You can think of all these different things. I want to do this. I want to do that. But again, you've got to assess that one place so that you can start.
Yeah,
And you're living proof that, it is possible.
it definitely is. It's very obtainable. Just find your passion. Makes it easy.
Okay. Well, I just have a few more questions for you. I know I've just
Ooh,
been questioning you to death, but I've got a few more
yeah.
questions for you because, we all want to be like you when we grow up.
Man,
So before we
I
wrap up,
don't know
I've
about
got,
that.
I've got some quick fire questions. I'm going to ask you some questions and
Okay.
I just want you to just answer them as best, give us your best answer in about 30 seconds or less. So
Okay.
my first one, what's the easiest income stream for a beginner?
The easiest income stream for a beginner. Oh, I'm not sure. I've said people because my story is so unique, so it's hard for me to determine what another person's. But I would say, something as simple as doing surveys online. You could start there.
Okay. So we're saying it doesn't have to be anything, it's not rocket science. It's
No, just pick
just,
a theme. It's more than what you're making at your 9 to 5. So
okay.
if it's more than what you're making at your 9 to 5, just do it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like you could be at work and do a survey on your phone, but some surveys pay up to $200. That's a free $200. It took you 30 minutes to fill out a survey.
Okay. I do recognize that there are research companies that have you do things like that and you can
Mhm.
you can go on you can Google and find out where they are,
Yeah.
and
Well,
sign
my
up
friend
for them.
just started an amazing business, and I never would have thought about it in a million years. But she is a
What's that?
medical courier.
Okay.
Outside of her regular, she has like a regular everyday, like really good job. But she started this medical courier business. That's I was amazed at the amount of money that she made her first month.
Okay. So again, what we're saying is that there are opportunities out there. And
Everywhere.
and right now everybody needs an additional stream of income. Okay, my next question. What's the biggest mistake people make with multiple streams?
I think that not properly using, I think that it's bleeding all the money from all the businesses together, like floating this business and floating that business without the proper paperwork in between to show what went where and why.
Oh
So
wow.
I,
Yeah.
Yeah, I also do a little bit of consulting on the side, and in the restaurant business, I see that kind of often. So it's teaching everybody to keep every business its own bank account, its own website, its own personal thing. Don't bleed those into each other. Like my catering business is separate from my restaurant. So being able to make sure you keep those things separate and those monies going. It doesn't matter if you gave your tire business some of your restaurant business money, that's fine. But make sure you have the proper paperwork to be able to back up where that money went.
Okay, now I can second
Watch the
that,
money.
and saying, when you're talking about bleeding them over together, and I'm going to say you want to make sure you keep your personal assets and your business assets separate.
Separate. Yeah.
Separate from day
Separate.
one. Do not, because you will bankrupt you can bankrupt your business by doing that. So that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Mhm.
Okay. What tool or resource would you recommend for income growth? What's a tool or resource that you think that someone might be able to use to grow what they're doing?
Um, I think that the Book It websites, if you offer services of any kind, those are great ways to be able to start a thumbtack. If you're because they cover so many different things, carpentry, culinary, all these different things that can be done. That those are places are great tools for that. I think that also finding a great app that allows you to be able to do your social media posting and website updates, stuff like that. So I think it's important to have a tool that allows you to be able to do that, because that is the most important. People only are going to come if it's current and they know exactly what's going on with your business.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, the last question I'm not even going to ask, because we're going to answer this one for you. Your personal favorite stream of income, we know what that is. So we don't have to ask
Cooking.
you
Yeah,
what
for
that.
sure.
Yeah, we know that is, your cooking. But, just, as we're, coming down to a close, I just want to, kind of recap some key takeaways. Multiple streams equals financial security. And that's what we've been talking about. And when we say that millionaires have 7 streams of income, that's just, they diversify. That's what multiple streams does for you. It gives you some financial security. And you start with what you already know or what you have. Everyone is doing something. Everybody gets up and goes somewhere every day, to a job or what have you. So you do know how to do something. So you want to just start with what you already know or have. And then don't overwhelm yourself. You just got to master one thing before adding another. And depending upon how you do it, it will grow organically. And that second thing can just come automatically out of what you were already doing. So what I'm going to give you my call to action. I want to hear from you. So what's your next income stream? You can drop a comment or DM me on social media and let us know what other income streams that you have come up with. And I want to give a big thanks to my guest, Chef Star Maye. And I appreciate, you sharing your wisdom with us. We've learned a lot, and I know everybody's thinking about what they're going to do next. So where can our listeners connect with you if they wanted to, know more about what you do? Where can they connect with you?
Well, I am Chef Star Maye across all streaming platforms, all your Instagrams, Facebook, TikToks, all the things. You can also find me at chefstarmaye.com. And if you're ever in town, you can always come to Canvas and see me there. 1105 Fatherland Street,
Okay. And where is that again? The city?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. Okay.
Yes.
Well, my final thought for today is building multiple streams of income isn't just about making money. It's about creating financial security, freedom, and long-term wealth. So whether you start with consulting, digital products, or investments, the key is just to diversify wisely. And then you want to stay consistent, because the most successful entrepreneurs don't rely on just one source of income. They create systems that work for them. So even when they're not actively working, they are still working. So ask yourself, what's the next stream of income that you're going to build? You want to start today, take action, and remember that your financial future is actually in your hands. So that's a wrap for today's episode of the Money Show with Miss Chloe. So I hope you got valuable insights to help you take control of your finances and grow your business. If you love today's conversation, do me a favor, subscribe to our podcast, leave a review, or share this with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, wealth isn't just about money, it's about knowledge and action. So take what you've learned today and put it to work. You want to stay connected, you can follow me on Instagram at OPM _ Smart Biz Funding. And you know, OPM stands for other people's money. Or visit my website at www.orchardbusinessfunding.com for more resources, tips, and ways that we can work together. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep securing the bag.
Yeah.
Bye.